they're going to learn everything they need to know about socialising. They're going to understand bullying. They're going to understand conflict. You know, we get all of these things from our siblings, and generally, most people have more than one child.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned bullying then, because I was thinking from before, you know, I can't remember what you're saying, but it triggered that thought in me. So do you feel that homeschooling, obviously because your kid wouldn't be around a lot of like 20 other kids the same age, there would be less chance of being bullied?
Yeah, look, I think bullying could happen any time in life. I mean, we still get bullied at work and things like that as adults, yeah. So how do we cope with a bully? Well, if we're really strong in who we are, a person's not going to be able to knock us down. Bullies only succeed because they know that they can squash another child, because that child's not as confident, they're probably not sure who they are, and you know, we're quite vulnerable.
Yep.
And generally they are the people that get picked on even later on as adults. And a bully is someone who just wants to claim power, because they feel so powerless themselves. So to me, if a child grows up free and knows who they are and knows their stuff, and I think they would, I don't think going to school and having to deal with a bully is needed for them to grow up to be okay, to be able to cope with the real world. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I think we all understand if somebody's doing the wrong thing, and, you know, if we're strong enough, we'll walk away.
Yeah.
At schools, you're probably more locked into having to go there. I mean, look how many teenagers are suiciding now.
Yeah.
With the amount of homework they get, and they don't get away from the bullying now either because of social media. It follows them everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
true.
And we know our children better when they're homeschooled. Like, we are closer with our children. I can feel that in myself.
Yeah.
So there's a big gap and a big distance when they're going to school every day. They have a life outside of you.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I'm a helicopter parent, or some people might think it's not good to be around kids all the time. And, you know, there's a bit of that attitude, but I think, really, because if you go back to before the school age, you know, came into play in our evolution, our children were always with us. They were always with their family and their tribes and their friends, and they were happy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's about the connection as well. It's not about, you know, being a helicopter parent. It's being able to be present with them and connect with them on their level. Yeah,
100%. And, you know, when you're living together, you have to learn how to put up with other people. So you get that at home anyway. Like, the concept of them having to go to school to learn that is crazy, because, you know, what's happening is they get that at school and then they're pulled back home and they're sort of in these two worlds. And I think that's why kids become so, like, tired and obnoxious, and I can see it. I take my kids down to the park, and I remember one time school finished and some kids came down, and just the way they played and everything, it's just, school kids are different from homeschool. And I don't mean it in a good or bad way. I just mean that they're just living different lives, and they just, their energy is just different. And my kids kind of just all went to the side and, you know, went away from that, the way that they were. And I found that really interesting to watch as well. It's not that my kids aren't social, because they certainly are. But they're not going to socialise with people who are just crazy and, you know. Yeah. I don't know how to word that without offending anybody.
Yeah, I don't know either.
It's just something I've observed personally. So
yeah, just talking about your observation.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because we seem to keep on coming back to this point that through the schooling system, a lot of the time, I mean, I guess there's always that opportunity outside school hours for parents to sort of connect with their kids and to help them, you know, in different ways to what school does. But a lot of the time, kids come out at the end of their schooling journey not really knowing who they are. And I noticed that myself when I finished, and so many of my friends as well. And yeah, just conversations I've had over the years about, you know, you get pushed out of school to get a good mark, then you have to go straight into a uni course, and you still haven't had time to work out what you want to do and who you are and what your interests are. And then sometimes you get to the end of this uni degree and you're like, well, who the hell am I? Like, you're in your 20s and you don't know who you are.
100%. And then people are, you know, having a midlife crisis at the age of 40 because they still haven't figured out who they are because they've been so busy working and paying their mortgage because we're taught that this is what we do.
Yeah.
You're so right. Look, I think, you know, on a collective level, our soul and our evolution and our own journey, we're all on different levels. Like some of us could be 40 but still in grade prep on a soul level, and some could be 20 and in year 8 on that soul level. So I like to sort of grade people, I guess, on that level. Whereas what the school's doing is they're telling you when you're ready to do stuff. They're telling you when you should be doing stuff. So, right, you're 18, this is your expectation, this is what you should be doing. And you're so right. Most people are like, well, I don't know what I want to do. Like, I've been so busy just getting all these good marks.
Yeah.
I haven't had time to explore jobs. What, they give them work experience for a week or 2 weeks. And you know what? Often they don't even get the work experience they want. Or they're given a list of this is what you get to choose from. So nobody's thinking for themselves when they're in school.
Yeah.
No one's managing their own time. I guess they think time management is when you show up to things on time, when you're told where to be, what to wear, what work you should be doing, how many hours you should be doing of that. That is not time management. That is completely dumbing people out, if you ask me. Time management is when you know yourself. And gosh, how many of us grow up and have kids and we're parents and we just can't manage with the kids because they're so out of control, they're so unpredictable, and we're so used to this predictable life that I feel like that's almost a reason why sometimes we struggle with parenting, because we have to let go and learn to be in the flow, learn to be in tune, learn to tap into that intuition, learn to be creative, to, entertain this child. And so we're activating something that is, as we said in that study, has been knocked down to 2%.
Yeah.
So we're kind of dumb parents on that, on that creative level.
Yeah.
And we need to activate that back up again, and then we find ourselves parenting more easily.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because I've found that just sitting and playing with my daughter has been really, really hard for me. It's taken me a long time to be able to work out how to be creative again in our games and just be silly and just have fun. And even, I don't know, sometimes I find it so hard just be present with her, because I have this in my mind. I have like, I have to be here by then, I have to do this by this time, and I have, you know what I mean? I
100% know what you mean. Yeah, like I've had 4 children. My eldest is now 16.
Yep.
So I've kind of had different parenting journeys with all of them because of consciously being different. As I said, my first one went right through the school system, and my second one, so Chloe left halfway through year 7, and Marley would just never go to school, and Brock started school. He's what started me on the homeschool journey. Yeah. But yeah, 100%. I mean, I stress myself out when I need to be somewhere on time. I find it extremely difficult. And so when I first started the homeschool journey, I was like, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to go here, we're going to go here. And I just found it was so stressful trying to organise the kids and drag them out, and just absolutely letting go and just doing things when you feel like doing them. Yeah. Life is amazing. Like, I've only been living this way probably for the last maybe 12 months. I've more like really stepped into that of just doing what I feel like doing, and I just find I get so much more done, and I'm so much more proactive, and everyone's just so much happier. And there's no rush to have to get the kids out to do stuff. We don't have to make them go out and learn. Like, I was walking the dog, I think about 2 weeks ago with the children, and on the way back we found a cocoon. I was like, God, I can't even think of the word. we found a cocoon hanging from the tree, and we stopped and looked at it and talked about it, and we ended up pulling the branch off the tree and brought it home. And I said, let's look at it every day and see when the butterfly comes out. And so my children just had this like whole lesson on nature and how a caterpillar, forms into a butterfly, and they got to see that and go out and watch it every day, and they're never going to forget that. And it was a natural interest because it was something, different on our walk. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is we don't have to be setting up these strict curriculums. We don't have to be following, all these timelines to be teaching our children. Just allow the natural wonder to come in, learn about nature, and how you are is what they're going to learn too. So, and I had this conversation last night actually with my husband. He said, do you think the kids should be doing a lot more around the house to help? And, we had a big conversation about it. And I said, look, when you think about it, they do a lot. I don't see the point in setting strict rules as in on this day you do this and on this day you do that. Like, I would rather children naturally came and helped than, making them do stuff. Does that make sense? And I said, like, I'm always cleaning, I'm always cooking, I'm always doing things, so they're around it. So they're learning from observing anyway. Yep. And when they're ready, they'll step up and do stuff. Yep. And when I watch my kids go and play, I mean, Marley's cooking and cleaning, and Brock's talking about, okay, I'm going to go to work now, and like, they're taking things in, and how they process it is through play. Yep. It's not through making them do stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I've noticed that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And going back to what you were saying before about that lesson about finding the cocoon, and it just made me realise that you obviously weren't in that sort of strict, to manage my time and be here by this time, and you were able to be present with them and actually take that opportunity, just go with the flow and let go of those restrictions and expectations and stuff you had, and then that lesson came from that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. And I think, as I said, parents need to go through deschooling themselves to actually get to that point. It doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
Look, I decided, I'm going to give it a go, and I'll give it a term, and, what's the worst that can happen if you decide to embark on this journey and it doesn't work out? Well, send them back to school, that's fine. But once you've stepped out of that system and you start living a different life and seeing things differently and meeting more people, nobody generally steps back into it. Yep. Sometimes children choose to go to high school. So you'll find that in a lot of the homeschool communities, that they homeschool their children when they're younger, and then they go off to high school, but the child wants to go. They're like, my child wants to go. And I actually think that they're going to be so much stronger having had all that time through their young years to really get all that creative play out and churn and ponder and, learn time management and understand how they feel. And, they've got such a solid foundation that if they do step into high school, they're probably going to be the stronger kids and will actually be able to cope better.
Yep.
Whereas, I don't know, I guess we think that we've got to educate them young so they can cope when they're older, but I don't think so. I think they cope less.
Yeah, so the younger years are more like for setting that foundation.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and look, if Brock grows up and says, I want to go to school, or, if they really want to go, hey, I'm willing to try it, go and give it a go, and, they might love it. I mean, I love doing courses and learning and reading and things like that. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but I'm taking it in because I'm following my passions, and I think that's the difference with school and choice of learning. So everything's there. We have so much information available on the internet now. Yeah. We can't not learn. We have access to everything. There's even websites you can join that actually has videos of a teacher in a classroom with a blackboard teaching. So you can sit your child in front of a computer like they're in a school classroom, if that's what you're wanting or if that's what the child's wanting. But yeah, and if you're passionate about it, you'll love it and you'll take it in.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, are there any guidelines or resources you've mentioned